Hi Yogi, and welcome to another Slow Flow with me, Oceana. In this episode, we're looking at another of the 5 Pancha Mahabhutas, the yogic and Ayurvedic elements, with this sequence being particularly inspired by the water element known as Jala. And Jala is thought to reside within the pelvic bowl, referred to as Svadhisthana chakra in yoga. And that is really thought to be very much the seat of our creativity, as well as giving us the ability to move with the flow of life rather than working against it. So that ability to remain flexible and fluid, to be adaptable when we need to sort of course correct or change direction in life. And of course, as you can tell, I was already pointing at the pelvis and hips. We will be working into that area throughout this class in different ways. In one of the postures particularly, you might like to use 2 yoga bricks. If you don't have those at home, I will link a video here. It's going to show you how to substitute them with things you have lying around. And once you're ready, you've grabbed everything you like to use as part of your yoga practice, we'll start in a standing position in the middle of our mats, so join me there. In your standing position, separate the feet so they are shoulder distance apart, toes pointing forward. Give a generous bend to the knees so that you can really connect all 4 corners of your feet to the floor, and then very lightly grip your toes against the sticky yoga mat. Have a little turn over to the right side and then swing back to the left and move a few times forwards and back here, allowing the arms to be heavy and not clenching your hands or any of the muscles in the arms, so that they can really swing freely and they sort of lightly slap from side to side of your hips. And gradually taking you into just a little bit of a twist of the torso here. Allow the knees and pelvis to move with you. And making these your final few swings, you might find just a little bit more momentum. Eventually, gradually coming to stillness, facing back to the front. Let your eyes settle on a focal point in front of you. And then bring the hands up through center line, the palms facing towards the ceiling. Interlace the fingers in front of your face and turn the hands upwards, really reaching through the sides of the waist. Exhale, release the hands down as you soften the knees. Lift the palms back through center. Go for the unusual interlace, so 1 pinky finger over as you lift the palms up towards the sky and lengthen upwards. Exhale to release, repeating that just 2 more times. Back to the normal interlace here on the first round. Lifting up and exhale, softening down. Final time here, interlace the unusual way as you come up. And pressing the palms up. This final time, release the hands down. Bring the palms facing up, hands at the sort of chest height. Turn your left palm up, right palm down. And then soften the knees as you exhale, press the hands up and down in opposite directions. Swivel the arms out to the side, reversing here. So right hand presses up, left hand presses down. Again, moving to that first side, exhale to press away, really feeling that strengthening happening in the arms and the belly. And we'll move through just 1 more time on each side here. This time, bring the left hand to join you at the top. And then we'll take the arms and the torso over to the left side, bending the knees very generously as we swivel all the way down, painting a big circle, reaching to the right. And then reversing that circle, going to the right, all the way down, and to the left. And we'll do that just 2 more times in each direction. Let the knees be soft. Maybe find a little bit of momentum here. And the next time that you come back from the right side, we'll meet in the center, facing forwards. Bring the feet to hip distance. Plant the hands on top of the thighs. Let the chin tuck in towards the chest. Let the shoulders round forward and slowly let the vertebrae move the crown of the head a little bit closer towards the floor beneath you. Into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Bending the knees to relax the belly onto the thighs. And on an inhale, plant the hands either on the floor or shins as you lift the chest. Float the spine up halfway, reaching crown of the head forward, shoulders and hips back. And exhale, keeping the spine long to fold all the way back into the legs. Hands underneath the shoulders here, walking or stepping the feet back into a downward dog. Feet hip distance when you arrive. Spin the inner elbows forward, press down through index and thumb. Let the shoulders soften down the back. And then bend your knees generously. Let your heels lift so you come all the way onto the balls of the feet. Drop the heels over to the right side here. Bend the knees deeply and press the hips back to open left side of the body. Find a few rounds of breath. And gently inhale, lift up through center. Heels go over to the left side. Bending the knees, pressing the sitting bones back. Opening through the right rib cage. Inhale, bring yourself back through to center. Step the big toes together at the back. Inhale to lift your right leg up and back. Point the toes for three-legged dog. And then bend that top knee to open the hip into split dog. And we'll draw a figure eight with this top knee here. So follow my directions. We'll take the knee forward towards the left elbow. Notice I didn't say it had to touch it. We'll take the knee to the right elbow and all the way back to the left side and to the right. So finding just that figure eight that you're literally painting with that top knee a few times in this direction. As fast or as slow as you like. That figure eight can be as big or as small as you like. And then we reverse. So we're going from the right elbow to the left, all the way up to the right side behind us to the left side and forward again. The next time the knee comes between the arms, step or shimmy the foot to the front. Bring the back knee down into a sort of preparation for our low lunge. Now from here, take the hips back. Maybe keep the front knee bent or start to straighten the legs. The toes could lift for half splits, but we're not here for long. On an inhale, rebend the front knee, let the hips move forward and down. Exhale, moving back. Inhale, coming forward. One final time, move with your own breath. From there, spin your left foot behind the knee and tuck the toes under. Use your left arm to windmill the arms, lifting up onto your back knee. You straighten the front leg, turning the heel away from you. That right heel is in one line from your hip. And taking the arms out from the sides of the shoulders, we bring right hand to the right thigh or calf, skipping the knee joint, left fingertips reaching across into gate pose, opening through the center of the chest, maybe looking up for a breath or two. On an inhale, top hand takes you back through center. You can plant the hands in front of you and walk your way back, or if there's no lower back pain, plant the left hand straight away underneath its own shoulder and reach the right fingertips overhead towards the back of the mat. Again, find that openness through the center of the chest. On an exhale, release your top hand all the way down. Turn to face the back of the mat, tucking under your right toes. On an inhale, lift the left leg up and back into three-legged dog. Point the toes. And then let the knee bend, let the left foot dangle behind you. Open the top hip towards the sky. And we'll find that figure eight with the top leg again here. So drawing that knee forward and across, reaching it towards the right elbow to the left. Coming all the way back to the right side and the left. So again, it's a literal, as if you're painting a number 8 with that knee. And it can be as big or small, as fast or slow as you like. Eventually we'll reverse that movement. So we're moving from the left elbow to the right, taking it to the left behind us and to the right side. Smoothing out that transition if you can. The next time the knee comes in towards the chest, step or shimmy the foot to the back of the mat. Bring the right knee to the floor. Frame that left foot with both hands. On an exhale, draw the sitting bones back. Maybe lift the left toes, maybe straighten the left leg in half splits. Inhale to lift the hips forward and down, rebending the left knee into that low lunge. And exhale, take it back. Inhale to come forward, moving through that sequence just one final time. Hips move back as you exhale. Inhale, you come forward. From here, the back foot spins behind that knee. You tuck under the right toes. Use the right arm to lift yourself up into a standing position. And then spin the left heel away from you to find gate pose. Reaching the arms away from one another. Left hand comes either to the left thigh or calf. Right fingertips reach across to the back of the mat. Lifting the chest, maybe looking up towards the ceiling, finding that deep extension through the right side of the body. On an inhale, we use the top arm to bring ourselves all the way back through center, either walking the hands along the floor or simply planting right hand underneath the shoulder. You can reach the left fingertips towards the front of the mat. That long lengthening happening along the left side of the body. On an exhale, release your top hand all the way down. The hands are underneath the shoulders, left toes tuck under, the right foot points all the way back. And then pressing down, you lift the right leg up and back, finding three-legged dog. On an exhale, drawing the right knee forward into the chest for tiger's curl, hovering there to step or shimmy the foot forward. Feet hip distance. On an inhale, rising up with the hands down by your side into a high lunge position, Alanasana. Straighten the front leg. Exhale to rebend the front knee and float the arms up. Inhale, straighten the front leg, release the hands down. Do that 2 more times, moving with the breath as you exhale to lower. Inhale to rise. Final one here. And then rebend the front knee, lift the arms up. On an exhale, the back heel spins down. We turn the toes towards the outer corners of the yoga mat and the heels turn in. The arms reach out at shoulder height and we bend the elbows with the palms facing towards the sky into horse stance, finding that drop of the sitting bones but the lift through the crown of the head. On an exhale, gently turning to your right side, really see something. And then inhale, come back through center, exhale to the left. Moving 2 more times each side as you exhale to twist. And inhale, finding your way back through center. One final time each side, moving gently. When you return back to the midline, turn the toes in, heels out. Bend the knees to softly fold forward towards the floor into a wide-legged forward bend. Now from here, let the knees be generously bent if they aren't already. Plant the hands as wide as is comfortable. Let the crown of the head draw towards the ground and find a gentle sway from side to side. You can bend the knees one after the other. You can really let the hips move with you. I always like to imagine myself as a piece of seaweed in the ocean, just dancing with the waves. So you might find a little bit more freedom of movement here, some slightly more unusual movement patterns for the spine. So really seeing how free you can make the ribs and spine and vertebra here. And then gently taking your body weight into the left leg, the heel might lift and your right leg could straighten or stay bent, and you might have the right toes lifting for Skandasana at the back of the yoga mat. Maybe the fingertips stay on the floor, or possibly you're lifting them to the center of the chest, palms touch, finding a moment of stillness here, lifting through the top of the head. On an inhale, spin yourself to the back of the mat, turn all 10 toes with you. Choose whether you'd like to rest in child's pose, take a few breaths in downward dog, or possibly step the front foot to the back into a high plank position. Coming through a vinyasa, you lower via the knees or in one straight line as you exhale through Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to roll the shoulders back and lift the chest for Cobra pose. On an exhale, pressing back either via the knees or in one straight line, we meet back in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. From here, bringing the big toes to touch at the front of the mat this time. Lift your left leg up and back into three-legged dog. On an exhale, draw the left knee forward into the chest, step or shimmy the foot to the back of the mat. Keep your back toes tucked under. Inhale to rise up with the hands down by your side and straighten the front leg here. On an exhale, rebend the front knee as you lift the arms into your high lunge Alanasana on the second side. And exhale to release and straighten the front leg. We'll do that just one more time here, moving with the breath. And the next time that you rebend that front knee, stay just for a breath longer. On an exhale, spin the back heel down, turn to face the side of your mat again with the toes turned out. So preparing for horse stance, the hands rest on top of the thighs with the fingertips pointing inwards. Let the sitting bones descend. And we'll circle the torso between the legs here, taking the left rib cage to the left inner thigh first, allowing the chest to drop. Right ribs to the right thigh, and then coming back through center. We'll do that 2 more times in that direction. And then reversing the circles, so moving to the right and then the left for 2 more rotations here. Once you come back to center, plant the hands underneath the shoulders, turn your heels out so your feet become parallel with the edges of your yoga mat. In your forward fold, you can keep the knees generously bent. You can keep the hands underneath the shoulders, which will allow you to focus on lengthening the spine. If you're going a little bit deeper, you could soften the elbows. Maybe eventually crown of the head will come to the floor. And for some of you, possibly once that's happened, you walk the fingertips to the opposite edge of the yoga mat to deepen the pose, shifting your body weight into the balls of the feet. And if you wanted to press up into a headstand, if that's part of your very regular practice, then you can plant the hands underneath the elbows, creating a 90-degree angle with your upper arm and lower arm. And then shifting your weight into the hands and the top of the head. See if you can make your toes light, lifting the heels, slowly shifting your weight forward. And just pressing up with control for a few rounds of breath. While the rest of us stay here and enjoy whichever version of the forward fold we've chosen. And if you're still in the headstand, then gradually make your way out. If you're in the forward fold, bring the hands underneath your shoulders. And then walk your hands over to the front of the yoga mat. Bend your right knee generously, maybe lift the left toes and straighten the leg. If you're coming into the low version of Skandasana, then let your right heel lift towards the sitting bone. Again, the hands could stay on the floor, which might help with balance, or you're lifting them in front of the chest. And then the action of your right leg is almost as if you're pressing the ball of the foot down, pretending as if you're going to stand up. So all the muscles engage to really hold your hips together and stabilize them. And there's that action equally of pressing down through that left heel. For your last few rounds of breath here. On an inhale, turn to face forward, plant the hands shoulder distance at the front of the mat, turn all 10 toes to point forward as well, and then make your choice. You can come to child's pose early, you could take a few breaths in downward dog, or if you want to come through a vinyasa, step your right foot all the way back into that high plank position. Exhale to lower down halfway, either via the knees or in one straight line. Let the inhale take you into the back bend of your choice. And the exhale takes you back into downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. And from here, bending the knees, gently bringing them to the floor as wide as is comfortable. Big toes touch. Let the sitting bones move back, finding your version of Balasana, child's pose. Of course, feel free to rest the head on top of the hands or possibly fists if you need a little bit more support. Allow the breath to gently soften and find its natural rhythm again. Letting go of any pranayama practices you might be holding on to at this point in practice. Gently rounding through the spine as you come up to seated, just a very brief kneeling position so that we can come all the way onto our sitting bones. We'll bring the right shin parallel to the front of the mat, flexing the toes, and the left knee is pointing straight out to the side here. Again, back toes are flexed. We'll start with a little bit of a side bend variation here. Left hand goes to the outside of the shin, right fingertips lift up and overhead. We're pressing through the bottom hand, spinning the chest open, maybe even looking up towards the ceiling. Finding just a moment to breathe here and expand through the right side of the body. And on an inhale, using the top hand to bring ourselves all the way upright. Plant the right hand behind you, take the left hand across to your front shin or knee, and then see if you can spin the chest open to the right side. So that spiral that's starting from your legs, you're just allowing that to extend through the spine, twisting to the right for a few rounds of breath. Gently turning to face the front of the mat. You can plant the hands in front of this right shin to begin with. Some of you might like to soften the elbows, maybe even coming onto forearms. And if you're going to work a little bit deeper, then potentially you could start to straighten the back leg, maybe even tucking under the toes so that you can spin the knee and your left toes towards the floor, squaring the hips to the front of the mat. Either again, option one, to stay here in this higher version of pigeon pose, or for some of you, the elbows might want to be a little bit softer, possibly forearms to the floor, maybe supporting the head with your hands here. Then allowing the inhale to gently lift you just a little bit out of the pose, and for each exhale to soften the hips. That natural relaxation of the exhale, allowing us to find stillness, steadiness in this pose. And gently walk the hands back underneath the shoulders if they aren't already there. Lean into your right hip so that you can bring the left foot to join the right. The knees are out to the side, preparing for Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose. Now, options here are to use your yoga bricks to support the knees, which allows you to really release the muscle tissue and work a little bit deeper. Some of you might like to bring your sitting bones a little bit further back so you have about 2 hand lengths distance from the heels to the torso. The hands can start behind you, fingertips pointing back so that you can lift the chest, lengthen the back of the spine, maybe slowly walking the hands in as you start to hinge forward from the hips. If you get far enough, you can place the hands in front of the shin bones, possibly using the hands to spin the soles of the feet towards the ceiling, almost as if you're reading a book between your feet. And maybe for some of you, the elbows might like to soften, possibly resting eventually the forehead on top of the hands. And in any of those positions, finding the breath, allowing the breath to slowly linger a little bit longer towards the end of each inhale and each exhale. And in each exhale, finding that sensation of gravity pulling you a little bit closer towards the floor. That sense of softening, of releasing tension. On an inhale, slowly pressing to come up to a seated posture if you're not there already. And then leaning into your left thigh just so you can swivel the shin bone parallel to the back of the mat. Let the right knee point away from your hip and then flex both sets of toes towards the shins. So we're finding deer pose on the second side facing the back of the mat. We'll start again with our side bend. So right hand goes towards the right knee or in front of the shin if you can reach. Left fingertips lift up and overhead so you create that length along the left side of the body, spinning the chest open, maybe looking up towards the ceiling above. On an inhale, use that top arm to bring yourself upright. Spin the left hand behind you. Reach the right fingertips either towards the left shin or across the outside of the knee. And then maybe finding that lifting up of the inhale as you find the twist on the exhale. Spinning the chest towards the left side of the yoga mat. On an inhale, returning yourself to face the front leg. Again, options for deer pose to stay nice and tall, to think about your sitting bones being fairly even, maybe supporting your left sitting bone with something. You could soften the elbows, maybe you're coming all the way onto forearms and supporting the head there if you like. For those of you coming into pigeon pose, again, just a slight moment to lean into the left leg so that you can maybe start to straighten the back knee, keeping it bent if you wish, or possibly tucking under the toes so that you can spin the knee towards the floor and then releasing the right toes down as well. Again, same arm options here. You could stay tall, which is a little bit more of a back bend variation really. Some of you might like to come forward or onto your forearms, possibly supporting the head here. And then finding a moment of rest or of stillness if you can. Maybe the exhale again could allow you to find a little bit more softness through the hip joint. Depending on which side of your body is more dominant, this could be your stiffer or more loosey-goosey side. Very professional terminology. So if this is your stiffer side, think about the exhale really traveling down towards the hips. And that sensation of softening as you breathe out, releasing tension in the areas that you feel it in. On your next inhale, if you're on your forearms, slowly plant the hands back to the floor. Walk yourself into an upright position. Lean into your left thigh again so that you can spin yourself to the center of the mat. Plant the feet as wide as your shoulders. Hands go behind the sitting bones. And then have a moment to windscreen wiper your knees from right to left a few times and back again. So just releasing any remaining tension in the hips, and we'll be making our way into a short seated meditation here. So if you would like to sit in a chair or sofa, of course, be my guest. Otherwise, you might choose to have your shins crossed. You might come into a kneeling position. If you're very rounded in the spine, you'll want to roll up your yoga mat and support your sitting bones here. Personally, I'm going to have my heels in one line and then resting the hands on top of the knees. Making sure that if you close the eyes, if that's comfortable, that you can allow your body weight to travel backwards into the sitting bones. Really making sure that they're fully supported and grounded. And from there, possibly finding a little bit more length through the spine, lifting it towards the ceiling above you. Possibly the shoulders could be a little bit softer. Maybe the front of the face could relax. Possibly the chin could tuck in towards the chest so that the back of the neck is long. Now you could choose to stay here, or finding Yoni Mudra will bring the index fingers and thumb to touch, creating a downward pointing triangle in front of the pelvis with the hands. Again, option one is to stay here, to find the breath, find a moment of quiet and calm. If you would like to add a visualization, then within your mind's eye, that dark cavity, you might be able to think of a silver crescent moon with the pointy edges pointing towards the sky above you. And possibly sending that image all the way down into your pelvic bowl. So that as you inhale, you're thinking about drawing the breath through the nostrils all the way down towards that silver crescent moon. And as you exhale, radiating its light outwards into the cells in the rest of the body. If you're adding the element of sound here, then Vam is the accompanying Bija mantra. So the inhale carries the breath down. And as you exhale, Vam carries the light of the moon outwards into the body. Seeing if you can find that practice, working with as many or as little elements as you like in your meditation. As always, I'll be closing this practice by chanting a mantra 3 times, followed by a single Om. You can either allow that sound to simply wash over you, or joining in by repeating it after me as you exhale. Om Lakshmi Vamshri Kamaladaram Swaha. Om Lakshmi Vamshri Kamaladaram Swaha. Om Lakshmi Vam Shri Kamaladaram Swaha. Inviting abundance into our lives. Bring the palms to touch in front of your chest, bow the forehead towards the fingertips. Maybe in this final moment of your practice, planting a dedication, a sankalpa. The light in me recognizes the light in you. Namaste, yogi. So as per usual, I want to thank you for joining me on the yoga mat today. If you have any questions, feedback or suggestion, pop those in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. Hit the little bell button if you like so that you get notifications. If you would like to find me anywhere else online in the meantime, that information is in the video description. I will link all of my social media stuff there. And aside from that, I just hope to see you back here very soon, yogi. Thank you.